it seemed like it wasn't a funeral to me. When I looked at the clips, it looked like it was a Nazi rally, in my opinion. And I wanted to get your opinion on that. If you saw any video of that, I don't even want to show it because it's just so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, like I would say the most sincere response I saw was from his wife, where she talked about, who he was to her. But the response from Donald Trump to bring politics into it, to bring up Joe Biden, the response from, Stephen Miller? Yeah, we're coming. You woke up the dragon.
Yeah,
Like what?
Does that mean?
It's supposed to be a memorial service, right? Like, so it's like, to me, it's like, why even bring politics into it? Why not just focus on who you felt he was as a person, right? Tucker Carlson is getting smeared because he made a statement, I guess, that kind of alluded to Charlie being ordered to be taken out. And apparently that offended Israelis. So now they're coming after him and they're calling him anti-Semitic. Like, I'm going to say this. From what I saw from especially the crowd size that was there, the Democratic Party is in trouble. Big trouble. A lot of, I did not expect to see, it was a lot of people there. And the message apparently has been clear that the right, I will say this, they are very organized. And the Democratic Party, to me, has capitulated to some of the nonsense from the Republican Party, has capitulated to some of Donald Trump's ridiculousness. They're not actually trying to fight against anything. And that's because the Democratic Party is also a right-wing party, just not as right-wing as the Republican Party, right? So I think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk is actually going to make the Republican Party stronger.
Yeah. And it's getting to the point where they have control of the media at this point. I didn't really care too much about Jimmy Kimmel, but anytime someone that says something so little as what he said, freedom of speech, we have to keep fighting for that 24/7. Even when it happened to Alex Jones, I was like, that's a little sus, but I know the liberals are happy. But I'm not gonna be happy about that, because that just shows I'm going to school for journalism, and I'm just like, that could be me one day with my little left voice.
Yeah, like it can happen to. It happens to both sides, right? So people who were cheering on the firing of Jimmy Kimmel, who, by the way, I don't even think is that funny, but people who were cheering on the firing of him, I just have to remind people, it can come right back the other way. And it has, right? Like we've seen that. You mentioned Alex Jones, a couple of others as well. It can easily swing back the other way. Don't forget, Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News. Remember that? Remember how the Daily Wire fired Candace Owens? Like all these things because they didn't agree, like with their rhetoric, etc. It definitely can come back the other way. And for me, like, I'm really looking towards the people who are speaking out in support of free speech. I'm looking towards the people, like, whether they're on the right or the left, right? Because if we don't have free speech, we don't have anything. And people really have to understand that. If they can shut down Jimmy Kimmel, and I said this a couple years ago about Julian Assange, I said, if they can do that to a white Australian man, what do you think they are going to do to you? But they will not do to you, right? So that should be a wake-up call to a lot of people. And hopefully it is waking some people up. But, they got to keep us divided with right versus left. And I think it's kind of interesting that as people were starting to come together on both sides against Israel and what Israel was doing, and of course, calling for the release of the Epstein files, I find it interesting that after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, all of a sudden they bring the attention back to left versus right.
Yep. And all these people on the media that were all about, I wanted the Epstein list to be released and all this stuff, especially on the right side, they just went right into it. They just got the Kool-Aid. Piers Morgan's doing every other interview talking about Charlie Kirk, talking about the left being this barbaric and all this stuff like that. And it's just, it scares the bejeebuses out of me. But I know at the end of the day, Sabrina, that what what happens to me is not compared to what my ancestors and your ancestors have been through, and we could get through this, and we got to just keep getting stronger and stronger while they're getting stronger and stronger. We got to try to keep organizing and talking about. That's why this documentary is so important, so people can learn about what's going on in Boston, and be educated about what's going on in Boston. Because just like I didn't know as much about what was happening in Gaza, I could learn just as much about what's happening in Boston as well too with our Black community. It's a time for so many different conversations that need to start happening, and people got to avoid that mainstream media when they're just always yelling about one topic 24/7. But it's so hard because I used to think nobody watches mainstream media, but it's in the airplanes. It's in the I can't even think. I can't even talk right now. It's all over. It's in the train stations. It's in the airports. It's all over. So people look up on the screen, they see it, and then they're like, oh, they're talking about that again, and it stays in the back of their mind, and they continue to believe that propaganda. It's all over still. So we still
It's
have to
at the
find ways
gym.
to counter. Right. It's at the gym. They control it. And when you see a correlation between it's fascist when you see a correlation between corporation and government. And this is exactly what we're seeing. This is definitely a fascist type of movement. As much as people don't want to say it is, most people don't want to acknowledge it is. When you got ICE do whatever the hell they want to do right now, it you're there, baby. It's right there. They did the same thing in Germany.
And the bad part about it is, like I said, the Democrats aren't really fighting back against Donald Trump.
Right.
So
they're cowards. Yeah.
people
And
are
they're
letting
coming
him
hard
do
at
what he wants.
us. They're
Yeah,
coming at
they're
us
letting
and
him
the
do what he wants to do. I mean, I never would have thought in a million years I would even see some of the right wing influencers criticize Donald Trump and his administration.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is all like a new thing, you know. There seems to be some type of split there on the right as well. Like those who are like, no, free speech, you know, matters, and no, we don't need to give our money to Israel. And yes, there is a genocide happening in Gaza. Release the Epstein files, and those who are just willing to go along with whatever Donald Trump says. And I
Yeah.
think that like I didn't see this during his first term in 2016. But we are seeing something different now. And I think a lot of people are starting to wake up. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for coming on. What do you think you'll be are you close to your goal? First of all, with the fundraiser, I have the